EastEnders actor Karen Hanthorne is returning to the soap for the first time since 1998, as Nigel Bates' wife Julie comes to Walford to find him. Julie doesn't know about Nigel's dementia, only that he walked out on her over a year ago. Next week's scenes see Julie at first insist that she is taking Nigel back to Scotland with her, while Phil Mitchell is annoyed by her presence. Phil wants Julie to go back to where she came from and let him look after Nigel. But it seems Julie isn't going anywhere. Even with the Phil situation, Julie knows that as long as she's with Nigel, and he knows how much she loves him, that's what matters, Hanthorne said. They are facing a hard road ahead, but they've got each other now. Julie loves Nigel more than anyone else, and she'll go above and beyond to help him. Phil can be as difficult as he wants to Julie, she's not going anywhere. Elaborating more on Julie locking horns with Phil, the actor said, "She's really angry because Phil knew where Nigel was all this time, and he could have told Julie. She doesn't understand why he didn't get in touch with her, and that leads to clashes between them. Also, Julie believes Nigel should have as much support as possible, so she doesn't get why Phil is trying to cut her out. Phil is a very stubborn man, so he'll be a hard nut for Julie to crack," she continued. "He's not the sort of man who'll sit down with her for a heart-to-heart and be open and honest." For now, Julie is stuck in the middle of Nigel and Phil, and Nigel is stuck in the middle of Phil and Julie. Karen Hanthorne's EastEnders comeback sparks emotional reunion with Nigel, and conflict with Phil. EastEnders is about to welcome back a familiar face in a storyline packed with emotional weight and unresolved tension. After a 26-year absence from Albert Square, Karen Hanthorne is reprising her role as Julie Bates, the wife of longtime fan favorite Nigel Bates, played by Paul Bradley. But Julie's long-awaited return isn't a warm, joyful homecoming. It's a storm of heartbreak, misunderstanding, and a collision with Phil Mitchell, who isn't thrilled by her sudden reappearance. Set to air next week, Julie's return promises to stir the waters in Walford as she searches for answers, and finds much more than she bargained for. A ghost from the past. Julie's return to Walford. When Julie first steps foot in Walford, it's with a singular goal, to bring her husband Nigel home to Scotland. What she doesn't know, and what makes her return so poignant, is that Nigel hasn't simply run away from their life together. He's been battling the early stages of dementia, and that battle has left him lost in more ways than one. Julie, unaware of his condition, arrives believing Nigel walked out on her over a year ago with no explanation. Her instinct is to take control of the situation and bring him back to the life they shared. But Nigel is no longer the man who left, and Walford is no longer a place she recognizes. In scenes set to unfold next week, viewers will see Julie's initial attempts to assert herself and take Nigel back to Scotland. Her appearance, however, ruffles more than a few feathers, particularly Phil Mitchell, who has taken it upon himself to care for Nigel in his absence from Julie. Karen Hanthorne speaks. Julie isn't going anywhere. Speaking about her EastEnders return, Karen Hanthorne gave insight into Julie's fierce love for Nigel, and her unwavering determination to be part of his life again, no matter the obstacles. Even with the Phil situation, Julie knows that as long as she's with Nigel, and he knows how much she loves him, that's what matters, Hanthorne explains. They are facing a hard road ahead, but they've got each other now. Hanthorne emphasizes Julie's deep emotional bond with her husband, despite their time apart. Julie loves Nigel more than anyone else, she says. She'll go above and beyond to help him. Phil can be as difficult as he wants to be with Julie, she's not going anywhere. That resolve will be put to the test in the coming weeks as Julie confronts the reality of Nigel's illness and fights for a place in a life that's been dramatically altered without her. The Phil problem. Loyalty, secrets, and a brewing storm. One of the most explosive aspects of Julie's return is her confrontation with Phil Mitchell. Known for his gruff demeanor and unwavering control over those he protects, Phil has inserted himself into Nigel's life as a guardian figure during his vulnerable decline. But Julie's sudden reappearance disrupts that dynamic, sparking conflict between two people who both believe they know what's best for Nigel. She's really angry because Phil knew where Nigel was all this time, and he could have told Julie, Hanthorne reveals. She doesn't understand why he didn't get in touch with her, and that leads to some serious clashes. For Julie, Phil's actions represent a betrayal, not just of her trust, but of Nigel's right to support from everyone who loves him. Julie believes Nigel should have as much support as possible, Hanthorne continues. So she doesn't get why Phil is trying to cut her out. It's a classic EastEnders clash, emotions boiling under the surface, past grievances bleeding into present tensions, and strong personalities refusing to back down. The result is a powerful storyline that places Nigel squarely in the middle of two people with wildly different visions for his care. Phil is a very stubborn man, Hanthorne says with a knowing smile. He'll be a hard nut for Julie to crack. He's not the sort of man who'll sit down with her for a heart-to-heart and be open and honest. Instead, viewers can expect scenes filled with cold silences, harsh words, and the slow erosion of Phil's grip on Nigel's care as Julie asserts her presence. Love story. Julie and Nigel reunited. Beyond the fireworks with Phil, at the heart of this storyline is a deeply emotional journey between Julie and Nigel. After decades of off-screen marriage, Julie is finally back by Nigel's side, but things are not how she left them. Nigel, once known for his quirky charm and gentle warmth, is now a man fading into confusion. Dementia has robbed him of clarity, and Julie's return is both a beacon of hope and a painful reminder of the time they've lost. They have so much history, Hanthorne reflects. Julie is stepping back into a relationship that isn't the same anymore. But she's not giving up. She's fighting for the man she loves, even if he doesn't always recognize her, even if he's not always sure what's going on. The emotional stakes are high, as viewers watch Julie navigate her grief, guilt, and fierce determination. There's tenderness in every moment she shares with Nigel, but also heartbreak, as she faces the reality that the man she knew may never fully return. She's devastated, Hanthorne admits. But she also finds strength in loving him as he is now. It's not about who he used to be, it's about who he still is. Julie Bates, a classic EastEnders woman, returns. Karen Hanthorne's return to EastEnders marks a significant moment for longtime fans. Julie Bates was last seen in 1998, and though the character has existed in the soap's universe through references and mentions, her physical absence has made her return all the more powerful. Stepping back into the role, Hanthorne found herself reconnecting with Julie's resilience and emotional depth. It's surreal, she says. To come back after all these years and slip into her shoes again, it's like no time has passed. But of course, everything has changed. Julie is older now, wiser, more grounded, but still as headstrong and passionate as ever. That balance between strength and vulnerability makes her a fascinating character to reintroduce. She's been through a lot off-screen, Hanthorne notes. And that shapes everything she does now. She's not here to play games. She's here to get her husband back, and she's not taking no for an answer. The bigger picture, dementia, family, and the complexity of care. This storyline isn't just a reunion. It's also a meditation on the emotional realities of dementia and the toll it takes on families. Through Julie and Nigel's story, EastEnders continues its tradition of tackling real-world issues with empathy and nuance. The writers have done a beautiful job, Hanthorne says. They're not sugarcoating it. Dementia is heartbreaking. It's confusing, frustrating, painful. But it's also deeply human. There's still love, still moments of connection, even in the fog. Julie's refusal to walk away from Nigel, despite everything, mirrors the experience of countless real-life carers and partners dealing with memory loss and emotional distance. She's representing all those people who stay, Hanthorne adds. Who keep loving, even when it hurts. And I think that's incredibly powerful. What comes next? A new chapter in Walford. As Julie settles into Walford, the question lingers, will she stay for good? And what will her presence mean for Nigel, Phil, and the wider square? It's hard to say, Hanthorne teases. Right now, she's focused on Nigel. But if the audience connects with her, and the story grows, who knows? There's certainly fertile ground for future drama. Julie could become a fixture in Albert Square, navigating the emotional minefield of Nigel's condition, clashing with Phil, and finding her place in a community that's changed since she last walked its streets. Julie's got a lot to give, Hanthorne concludes. She's passionate, fierce, loyal, and full of love. And Walford could always use a woman like that.